distant planet, a great kingdom was ravaged by beings who came from the future to conquer the universe. The only survivors follow a doubtful seer and a throneless king. Columbia Pictures presents a world apart from anything you have seen before. Krull.
Hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classes of Cinematics. And I'm joined as always my co-host, you got Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo, yo, yo!
Oh, man. So today we got a special film, man, at least for me, man. This thing definitely charmed me when I was a kid. And we're going to be looking at Krull from 1983, man.
Yeah.
And I think I will say the synopsis just so we can get this out of the way, because this is a wild film. Mm-hmm. So I'm just give you an indicator what's going on. On the planet of Krull, an evil creature called the Beast decimates the world's armies and kidnaps the lovely princess who is destined to become queen. Her brave beau, Prince Colwyn, leads a motley band of warriors, including Ergo and Kegan, to rescue his beloved. However, before he can face the beast, Colwyn must locate a mystical weapon known as the Glaive, which he can use to slay the hideous villain, man. And this film is interesting. I definitely enjoyed watching this thing when it came on when I was a kid. But going back looking at critic reviews at the time, they roasted the hell out of it.
Oh, they dogged it.
One of the biggest complaints was they called it derivative. And I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, it's fantasy, technically of the films of that area. I think where it stands out is where they tried to, infuse it with special effects. I think there is some creativity, but as far as derivative, I mean, no. What are you talking about? I've never seen a dude with a weapon like this. I've never seen some of the scenes that we'll talk about, later in this. But
and
it's crazy.
It follows the structure of what we look for in a journey fantasy adventure film.
Heroics, a hero's quest.
Yes, because pretty much, with films like this, it's wrapped around a quest. Mm-hmm. There's always there's the reason for the quest. There's the starting point and the finish point, which always varies. Okay, but the plot thickener, the character development, and the atmospheric tone is set and pulled into fruition by the journey. What more do you want? I mean, we see it in this Princess Bride, Willow, Star Wars. It's all the same. I think that's one of the
things too. Where it was like us trying to be like Star Wars so much.
No,
well, if you know anything about mythology, history, anything, Star Wars is one of the most derivative stories out there.
Right,
but we let it cook because it doesn't have some of the deficits that this film has. But I don't think the deficits are necessarily story and the plot derivativeness.
No. This film it watches like watching a stage play.
It does.
It feels like a stage play to me. I mean, these guys and these actors, actresses, they come off like I could see this like it's like almost like at a dinner theater or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And the way that it's delivered. And Star Wars doesn't do that. Star Wars feels like a movie.
You could possibly display this because there are especially certain scenes with like especially the princess with the beast and those scenes and even some of the interior stuff. It definitely does have that old school stage set design kind of presentation from the classic films. But then this one has a lot of parts where they do go outside, and that gets a little interesting, man, as well.
Absolutely. Pretty much, I mean, like I said before, all good quest stories have a starting point. And this one, it's pretty cool because they're on the planet of Krull. And me and Monk, we was laughing before because as youngins, we always refer to the Glaive as Krull. You know what I'm saying? Krull is actually the planet. So they're on the planet of Krull, and this entity known as the Beast and his slayers are overthrowing the planet. So Prince Colwyn, Princess Lyssa, they want to marry each other to unite the two kingdoms so they can slay the Beast and save the galaxy. And in the prophecy, their child will end up, being the ruler of the whole galaxy, on a conquest to righteousness. So the movie starts at their marriage ceremony, and it pretty much gets invaded by the Slayers, and everybody dies except for Colwyn and Princess Lyssa, but she gets kidnapped, taken to the Black Fortress, which is the Beast's lair, and Colwyn is left for dead. Both kings are dead, and a mass amount of soldier casualties and everything, and he's waking up by the OG that's telling him like, look, this is the beginning of the prophecy. We need to go save your princess, and we also need to slay the beast. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much. Then from that point on, we become a crew member on the quest.
Yeah, I mean, he gets a couple allies along the way, but ultimately his quest is to get this, save his princess.
The allies are very important.
Yeah. I was about to get into the characters.
Oh, okay, cool. I was about to say, yeah.
We got Ken Marshall playing our prince, to be King Colwyn. One of his main guys next to him is Kegan, played by Liam Neeson, which is probably this is the oldest film I've ever seen him in. And we were talking earlier, he's about 30 years old when he made this film. So.
Well, one thing I do like about Colwyn is he really adds to this stage play element because he has a very Shakespearean vibe. Like when he talks, he goes, "Come hither," it's like he's got that going on.
Like they all do. Because this is like a British film.
That's true. But he has it in his movements and his mannerisms.
Yeah.
And one thing that's really cool about him is he did all his own stunt work. You know what I mean? So like for 5 months, they said he worked out religiously. He learned how to box. He learned how to fence. And all of them, I mean, they have what's called the fire mares in this movie. They're pretty much Clydesdale horses.
They had to learn how to ride
and
horses.
They had to train the horses. They had to learn how to ride them. And Clydesdale horse, they're really not horses for riding. They pull like beer carts and stuff. Yeah. They're huge.
You know, a lot of money on this, bro.
Big bread. And another guy I did enjoy was Freddie Jones. He played Yonner, who's the OG that pretty much sets the quest off.
He's a spider guy.
Yeah.
I love him.
And a cool thing about him is not only is he responsible for like picking Colwyn up, because I mean, right out the gate, Colwyn did not want to go on the quest. He was just crying like a little baby, and so the OG Yonner, he's like, man, you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. We got work to do, and his energy is toxic for the whole crew. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of like a secondary leader in a sense. But another thing I like about him is he's also the one who's narrating the film.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So he's got that cool duality situation going on.
Yeah, my guy's, I like Alan Armstrong in this. He plays Torquil, and surprisingly, rewatching this, my memory's fuzzy. I'm like, when does he die? And he's one of the few characters that makes it to the end.
Only 6 make it, dog, and he's one of them. Yeah.
The funny thing is, this party starts off with this ragtag crew, just the survivors of the castle, but when he runs into Torquil and his crew, and they decide to join up because they feel like, all right, this is a common enemy. This castle's up to no good, and they earn each other's trust and they band up. So it's kind of cool. This thing starts looking like a classic Dungeons and Dragons kind of scenario, and the crew just grows. It gets bigger.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I read a little snippet. They said that the writers of this actually were trying to link up with the writers of Dungeons and Dragons and kind of make a sequel and a more of a spin-off franchise called Dungeons and Krull or something like that. Yeah. So that's spot on right there.
There's some cool stuff. We also get a Cyclops.
Oh, that's what I was just about to say too. Bernard Bresslaw as Rel the Cyclops. He's one of my favorite characters, dude. Because I mean, this dude, he's like an enforcer and a protector, but he's righteously genuine, dog. And it's really cool because it's sad, but when they go into the lore of the Cyclops, it's heartfelt. Like they say that their race, they started off with 2 eyes and everything. They made a deal with the beast to give up one of their eyes so they could see into the future. But it's almost like when you find one of those genies that manipulate the wish. So the beast is like, yeah, I'll help you see into the future. So he takes all of their eyes, and the only future that they can see is when they're going to die. And then if you avoid your fate, then you're gonna die even worse.
Which is also weird because there's 2 ways. It's like, I think you'll just expire if you go the route of how you're supposed to go. You just stay there and
it's like a peaceful death.
And then, but if you ignore it, then you're going to have a painful death. And it's crazy how he gets that, which is also crazy because how is that derivative? I've never heard anything like that in any kind of mythology.
No, exactly.
That's where I think this thing has some cool points. We also get a wizard. We get a
seer.
We get a shapeshifter.
Well, yeah, that's David Battley as Ergo the shapeshifter. And he's dope. He's dope.
What I love about this crew is we get a wide representation of personalities and characters, man. It's just crazy. And there's almost a lot of elements that we would come to be known in fantasy stuff, but also flipped on its head in many ways, man.
Well, and in true to the films of this nature, everybody serves a purpose.
We could probably get into the production design and the effects and stuff like that, because I think that really stands out in this film, man.
And and I love the energy and effort that went into it. First and foremost, altogether, they had 23 different set pieces that were created for this film. So, I mean, people were heavily employed in this.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Like, looking at the detail, just from what I know of film production, like even you look at the swamp, I'm like, someone built that. That's not outside. That's a stage.
That's a stage.
That's
and like
crazy.
the quicksand. I mean, it's ambitious, it's creative, not derivative. But one of the set pieces and just full-on effects of this film that really has always stood out to me is the widow's webs.
Dude, I'm looking at that.
The spider webs everywhere. I mean, and it's cool because she is just a broken soul that's almost in this, like, it looks like an egg sac in the middle of this cave that's being held together by all this webbing and stuff, and she's just withering away in her own misery, but she's held there by this big crystal clear spider that's like the size of an RV.
That was cool, man.
Like,
that was cool.
Dude, I would have a heart attack if I seen that thing in real life.
It worked in '83 using stop motion, but I imagine how much iller that could look now with the technology that they have.
Oh, absolutely.
Like what's great is I'm looking at this guy, like it's a cool scenario. He has to go to talk to this. She's also a person who knows things, so they go visit her to figure out where the castle's going to appear. Because the bad guy's in a castle that moves every day. It moves to a different part of the planet. A different part of the planet where he can send his troops out and conquer. So she knows the next spot. So they're visiting him. But also, in order for him to get to her first, he has to get past the spider. That's a cool sequence because the spider is huge. He's on the web trying to get to the middle of the web. The spider's on the opposite end trying to get to him.
And the only thing that's stopping the spider is she has an hourglass. So you have until the sand goes down. And the cool thing about it...
that's the crazy part. That's only the favor. Because he's only going hard because he knows her.
Yeah.
Like if you were just a random dude going up
she's not turning the sand. The only reason she did that is because he actually knew her name. Because then you find out that they have history. They had a kid together. Like they was together. And then, he left.
They had a kid.
Well, because I say it past tense because she says that, because he didn't stick around. He went on some other journeys and stuff, that her rage and the anger that she felt for him, she ended up killing the child. Yeah. So that her punishment
as soon as the baby came out, her
punishment was to be, held in this widow's lair, and it kind of adds emphasis to her name.
But that was one of my favorite sequences, and it still works to this day because he's trying to beat the clock, and he's old and he's. The web is all shaky. It's almost like
you got the spider coming. Though.
It's like that thing you see with those zip line things. Yes. It's like you're on one rope and there's another one above and you're shimmying, and it's just like and I'm like, and then part of me in my head now is like, why ain't he just sticking to that? Like
that's what I was just thinking. I was like, dog, spider webs are sticky.
Hey, he's got to suspend disbelief.
Yes,
absolutely. But all in all, it looks beautiful.
It does.
Like these days, there's a lot of different ways you could do it, but the fact that they had to build this actual space for like all of these sets, man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful film, man.
And also, the way that they put together these outside landscapes. There's a lot of like gorgeous scenery, like real life, trees and nature and stuff.
I think the swamp is my favorite, man.
The swamp is dope.
Is dope, but also you think about what went into the design of the bad guys too.
Yes,
oh yes, like this. I mean, from what we know about the story of this thing is an alien being. It's from outer space. It seems like, and it looks like it. Like it's something I've never seen before. Like you've got a Lord of the Rings aesthetic with the planet and the main characters, but then all the enemies and bad guys look like something you would see out of like the Guyver or some kind of animation like that. Dude.
And
like,
with him, like you really never see him in a full on physical form because he can manipulate his form to be whatever he wants people to see him as. But when Colwyn ultimately has to fight him, I mean, he's like an oversight, like the size of an apartment, and you only see from the torso up. So imagine how big he really is. Just to bring back, these set designs, like you said, the Black Fortress. Now, there are parts where, you can tell they didn't age well, but they still, this layer that they created all the way through, it's just, I mean, the amount of energy and effort that went into it. I mean, like I said, you cannot overshadow that. And then there are other parts where, at the very beginning for Colwyn to get the glaive, he had to scale a mountain cliff.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was like the biggest mountain ever.
Like, I'm looking at him, I'm like, yo, he really walked up that shit.
He did. And then there were parts he had to free climb.
And there's a guy with a camera that walked up that shit next to him. Exactly. And these cameras ain't like back then, bro. I love the design of this. Even when we get, like, even inside the castle when the assault happens, there's the little tunnels and stuff. When we get to the beasts castle, that looks cool, man. That moment where the soldiers are shooting down and they're all pinned behind the rocks, and then my man comes out. But see, it's making me gotta speak on the effect work of the horses, man. What were they called? Thunderbrags?
They were thunder steers or something?
Yeah. And, dude, the horses, basically, they got Clydesdale. They can fly. They can run through the air, and fire comes out their feet when they're...
Yeah.
I remember that sequence, though. It's beautiful. It is. Like, looking at it now, it's a lot simpler than I remember. But it's just as cool. You get the aerial shots of them flying over the landscape, and then just the wide shot of everybody just galloping, and there's fire coming out.
And then you got the one who's just a daredevil for real. He stands up on the jump like... It's like, are you kidding me?
you see Liam Neeson, he's all smiling.
Yeah, the hair all blowing. Everyone's just like, man, come on.
Crazy. But it reminded me of in Lord of the Rings when the Eagles come in at the last minute and scoop them up and fly them off. But it's cool, man. I love it. I love that moment. Man. That still holds up, dude.
Yes, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like this film it's all heart, dude. Like I mean, like I said, you could cook it if you really want to. Does it hold up by today's standards? Not much, but like I said, it has a cult following for a reason, and one of the main reasons is because of the score. The score is a character in itself,
beautiful,
and
man.
It was composed by James Horner and performed by the London Symphony Orchestra and Ambrosia Ambrosia Singers. I'm sorry, but this is like hero shit. For real, dude. Like I mean, when they cover all their bases. When there's hero shit going on, you get that good hero music. When there was sad things going on, you could tell. When there's fight sequences going on, I mean, all this stuff is it's wrapped around this beautiful composed score that just. There's a reason why people talk about the score before they talk about anything else in this film, you know what I mean? Because of the way that it really puts this film on its back. And if it had a different score or didn't have one at all, like more modern films nowadays, I don't think this film would stand the test of time at all.
Yeah, he did a lot of cool scores. They got him connected to Wolfen, 48 Hours, definitely Krull, Brainstorm. Let me see, Uncommon Valor. That's the one that I've heard about. Star Trek 3, which was a good one. That's the one with the whales, bro. Oh my God, that's good. Cocoon, Volunteers. He also did the score for Commando. Wow, bro. Yeah, Aliens. What's he got an Oscar nomination for? An American Tale. Oh man, he did the 5-0. That guy's really good, man. He's got a legacy of work, man. I can't read off everything, but he's my man's getting busy.
And this was in his earlier years too. So I mean, he showed his potential early. You know,
it seemed like he was working all the way up until 2016 with Antoine Fuqua's The Magnificent Seven.
Nice.
So that's the last film credit.
Nice.
What was some of your other favorite moments about this film, man?
Oh man, like I said, I like the quicksand part. You know, when in the quicksand.
Man, didn't you think quicksand was everywhere and just gonna swallow you up as a kid.
Yes,
and then the movies had quicksand.
And there are some of my homies I grew up with that if it weren't for this movie, there was a point in our life where one of the homies, we were all playing in the river. One of the homies fell into the river. We made the human chain.
Oh my God!
Would he have died if he went down the river? No, but man, this movie instantly one grabbed the tree. We all get him, save him. You know. so without that scene. Somebody would have been messed up at the bottom of the river. You know what I'm saying?
Cool, For me, one of my favorite moments is in the swamp, man. I think the swamp is the meat of this for me, man. Like the when the evil wizard pops up. Because there's one old man that's with this kid.
He's the seer.
He's blind, but he can help guide him a little bit. He can see ahead a little bit, but he don't see this coming. So the bad guys send another. One of them can mimic the other character.
The beast, the beast sent a doppelganger, dog.
So he takes out the real wizard, and I love this sequence because it's so crazy. And he rolls up. And suddenly they notice the old man's gone and say, "Yo, go get the old man." But it's the shapeshifter there, and I love this part. It's so subtle, but he grabs our hero Colwyn's shoulder.
Opens his eyes, they're all black.
Yeah, but then he's grabbing his shoulder because he's blind, so he's holding on to it. But then he starts creeping up, and he's got
his
these
nails grow.
Nails.
Yeah,
this is such a cool.
But then
thing.
that's when Rel the Cyclops, you just see the spear going.
But see, the Cyclops is just hanging back a little bit. And he looks over in the quicksand, and all of a sudden he sees the wizard's body pop up, and then all of a sudden he's running through the swamp. I love this part to catch up to them so he can expose the evil wizard.
My man can move to be a 7-footer. He light on his feet.
It's such a cool moment, man. Like there are parts of this film that really work. I think the mostly part where it fails is going to be some of the dialogue and some scenes aren't necessary. I know they're there for character development, but they don't really add a lot and they kind of drag it down a lot of bit. This could be an hour 45. It's 2-hour film, but they could have cut it to 145.
And I love the interaction, the banter, and the relationship between was it Ergo, the shapeshifter, and Titch. Titch is the seer's young apprentice. He's a little kid, and once the seer, dies, the little dude is he's like, man, I ain't got no family. He was all I had.
That part was so funny to me because you see how quickly that kid gets over the fact that his guardian is dead. Yeah, because he's gone. He's like, well, we're your family now. And the kid smiles. I was like, man, they should have wrote that a little better. That out. He smiles, and all of a sudden everything's good now.
And then Ergo turns into a little puppet dog. He's like, yeah, all right, cool.
Basically, your grandpa dead, and you just go.
You ain't got nobody else.
Quick. You find a puppy, and you just forget everything.
And you ain't been an apprentice long enough to learn how to see into the future. So it's like, shit. What you got to offer?
It's amazing, man. That part is crazy to me.
Hey, man. You got to have a heart of stone when you go on a quest, dog.
The bad guys are crazy to me too in this film because it's interesting. It's almost as if there's a little being like Krang inside these bodies. So when they kill something, it's nutty. They kill these things. They fall over, and all of a sudden you see this mass. It looks like a
big leech or something.
It looks like when Strike jumped out the damn the well on Gremlins. And, or when he jumped out the fountain, and it's just and it digs into the ground.
Because it's wild. Because with the way that the Slayers they look, it almost looks like they have a bubble on their head, but they're heavily armored. But when you kill them, that bubble cracks like an egg. And
when they killed the wizard, and the wizard that was nasty.
Dude, he deflated.
And then he goes into the ground like one of those things. That's another thing I want to mention. This thing's PG. But this is probably the hardest PG I've ever seen. All they would have took was an F-bomb, and you would have justified this being R because
absolutely.
In the first few minutes, when they raid the castle, you see a dude get stabbed in the neck.
Yes, a lot of sword fights.
I'm like, yo,
you know what I think also helped keep it a PG rating is with everybody that got stabbed with a sword, not a single drop of blood was spilled.
Yeah, but man, it's close enough. Especially when them things jump out the brains, and they're all bloody and they dig into the ground. There's a few scenes in here where I was like, man,
you
this would have been at least a hard PG-13 today if it came out today.
Absolutely,
man.
And they would have shaved some of the stuff. They would have lightened it up a little bit.
Yeah, you ain't seeing a dude stabbed through the neck
or get crushed by a mountain spike. Remember you see the joint going? He's like, oh.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, that joint went in a little bit.
They went in,
when Cyclops got crushed, I was like, yo,
yeah. I mean,
it's not graphic, but you know there's a man
you
in
see
there.
him, and then you see his hand. The only thing he didn't do was the Terminator 2 thumbs up his hand. He's like,
Yo,
and pulls it back.
His personality, I'm surprised he didn't do it though.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Continue on.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I see y'all gonna make it.
I think we can wrap this one up, man. This is, see, here's the thing, man. I always tell people, you know, you're watching this, you probably have seen this. But
yes.
If you haven't seen it, I think it is worth a watch, you know, just for some of the visual ideas. It doesn't hold up quite as well as when I saw it when I was a kid, but sometimes that happens, man. But I think it's one of these films I'm going to give it props for the attempt, you know, and what it nails versus striking it down completely for its shortcomings.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, and I've always been a fan of an adventure film. I've said that time and time again. I'm with you 100%. The effort, the energy that went into it, you know, it does have a cult following. I'm part of that cult following. It did fall short budget-wise. They spent 27 to 30 mil in 83, and it only grossed back 17 mil. And they thought that this was going to be a franchise piece because they got together with Parker Brothers. There was a board game, a card game, a comic book, an arcade game, an Atari game, and a pinball machine on top of plans to make a part 2, which all fell to the wayside pretty much because this fell short. You know what I'm saying?
They might have made some money on their video rentals, but I don't know what those margins are like. But I think that's it, folks, man. Make sure you check us out at Classics of Cinematics. Subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about us. Click the link below to check out our merch. You know, that helps us out as well. And we're going to be back soon. Make sure you check out our new Best of series that we started. Let us know how you guys like that, or if you got any suggestions for topics that we can cover on that, man. You know, so that's going to be an ongoing thing. So going to get 2 shows a week from us, man. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to expand and grow and bring y'all along with us.
Them boys be working.
Yeah, so you catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram as well.
And this Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me on this show or on the new show or out there in the real world.
Yeah, and Classics of Cinematics on Instagram. You know?
Yeah, man.
All right, folks, we out.